The presentation covers a comparative financial analysis for two companies, Airtel and Tata Communications, from the telecom sector. Something about the companies. Tata Communications is a leading global provider of the New World Communications. Its portfolio includes transmission, IP, mobility, managed network connectivity, broadband and content services. Bharti Airtel is one of the world's leading providers of telecommunication services with presence in 19 countries. The company offers an integrated suite of telecom solutions to its enterprise customers in addition to providing long-distance connectivity both nationally and internationally. There are three major financial decisions which we want to comment on. First, PPE versus sales. The correlation between PPE and sales for Tata Communications and Airtel suggests that there is a relatively strong correlation for Airtel as compared to Tata Communications. Hence, we can say that Airtel was able to leverage its investments well to increase sales substantially. To put things into perspective, during the given period, Tata Communications had an approximate 1.5 times increase in PPE, whereas Airtel invested hugely, resulting in 2,300 times increase in its PPE. Second, Airtel stock split. Airtel decided to have a stock split of 1:2 on 24 July 2009. This led to an increase in stock price to around Rs 800 before the split and then reducing to Rs 400 after the move. The stock value, instead of falling by half, actually fell by a lesser amount as more investors bought the stock at a cheaper price. The consistent market value of the share, despite its split, suggests the confidence of the investors in the company. Move from secured loans to unsecured loans. Airtel acquired huge secured loans to finance their asset acquisitions in 2004-2005. As explained in the slide, this resulted in increase of sales and profit. It later could use these profits to change their secured loans to unsecured loans, thereby establishing a strong base for growth. Let's move on to the cash flow analysis. Firstly, for Tata Communications, from 2006 to 2011, CFO was positive and CFI was negative, indicating heavy investments from the company. Before 2005, the company was following a moderate dividend policy, as a result of which it had huge reserves and surplus. The company was having a zero debt policy till 2008. Around this time, due to increasing competition, the company took loans to fund the procurement of fixed assets. Airtel. The CFO of Airtel is consistently positive, which indicates good revenue generation from its operations. Both CFI and CFF oscillate between positive and negative over the period of year. Let us examine this in detail. During 2004-2005, the CFF was negative mainly because of the interest paid towards short-term borrowings. CFI was also negative primarily due to investments and purchase of certain fixed assets. A small proportion of this was also due to license fee paid for new circles. Since cash flow from operating activities was generating good revenues, they were able to meet the cash outflow required for investing and financial activities. During 2005-2006, CFF became positive. This was primarily due to payments made towards long-term borrowings. This was followed in close tandem by interest paid towards short-term borrowings. Since the company was going through a high growth phase, huge investments were made by the company. However, the company was able to meet its financing activities with the cash generated from its operating activities, which is a good sign for the growth of the company. Next, we move on to a few important ratios. PE ratio. The PE ratio shows a connection between the market value and the recent company performance. Here we observe that even though the market value for Tata Communications is lower than Airtel for the period of 2011, the PE ratio is higher since the EPS is on the lower side. Some points to note. Generally, the PE ratio is not defined for loss-making companies or companies with no profit. As seen in the chart, Similar scenario happens in the case of Airtel during 2002 to 2004, where the profit is negligible in comparison to the number of shares issued. The sudden spike in 2008 for Tata Communications can be explained by the positive market sentiments due to BSNL becoming Tata Communications. In addition to this, Tata announced a joint venture with Neotel, a South African network operator, to expand its network in Africa. Next, the PB ratio. The PB ratio shows a connection between the current market value and its book value. Few points to note here. The sudden spike in 2007 for Airtel can be explained by the doubling of market value from 196 to 381 on positive market sentiments due to the acquisition of Singtel's 50% stake in joint venture undersea cable company network I2I for $110 million. Next is ROCE. The ROCE is return on investment ratio. The value helps us understand if the company was able to make appropriate profits for its planned investments. Tata Communications seemed to find it difficult to make profits during this period. While the capital employed were almost same for the year 2002 to 2004, the profits dipped each year by almost 50%. Airtel during the year 2005-2006 signed a managed capacity expansion contract with Ericsson for providing managed services. The company and IBM launched services under their joint go-to-market program. Due to these ventures, Airtel was able to convert its investment into huge profits. ROE. The equity for both Airtel and Tata Communications have been constant. So, the variation in ROE can be explained by the variation in its profits. While Airtel showed a consistent growth in profit from 2002 to 2010, however, there have been a decline in profits over the last year. Analysts suggest drop in quarterly profits on the back of increased costs, predominantly attributed to the rollout of a 3G network at home, combined with losses at its African operations. The drop in net income was partially the result of higher interest payments, which arose on the back of the company's investment in 3G services in India and also due to the acquisition of its African assets. Finally, we move on to the EPS. EPS suggests how efficient a company is in creating revenue. It is the ratio between PAT versus number of shares. For Airtel, there is a drop in EPS in the year 2009. This is because it declared a split of stock in the ratio of 1:2. Therefore, as the number of shares doubled, there wasn't a corresponding increase in PAT. The number of shares for Tata Communications was constant during this period. Hence, variation in EPS value was a function of PAT alone. This brings us to an end of our analysis for Airtel and Tata Communications. Thank you.